Have you ever wondered what it takes to find love again in your golden years? In a world where life's second chances are becoming more common, navigating the journey of remarriage later in life comes with its unique set of challenges and expectations. Meet Mrs. Truong, a 65-year-old widow who has set 4 specific conditions for her next relationship. Her story sheds light on the emotional and practical considerations that many face when seeking companionship after loss. But Mrs. Truong isn't alone. Discover why some older men are now preferring partners with more body mass and how societal perceptions of beauty and security are evolving. Through heartfelt interviews and personal stories, this video explores the intricate balance between love, security, and personal fulfillment in later years. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. I don't have high demands when it comes to remarrying, but I do have 4 essential conditions that must be met. What are these 4 conditions, you might ask? Let me share with you the journey of Mrs. Truong, a woman who's lived through life's most heartbreaking and enlightening moments. At 65 years old, her life is a testament to resilience, self-discovery, and the pursuit of peace. I am 65 years old, and I've been retired for 8 years now. In these last 6 months, I've experienced a whirlwind of emotions and transformations that have reshaped me. The moment I retired, my husband passed away unexpectedly. His departure shattered my world. I wasn't ready for it, not at all. The grief was unbearable, like an anchor pulling me under, drowning me in sorrow. My children had already married and had their own lives to live. They couldn't be with me all the time, and I found myself alone in a silent house that seemed to echo with the absence of his presence. The loneliness I felt was suffocating. Every day felt like an eternity, and I struggled to keep going. But with time, I began to accept this harsh reality. Slowly, the pain began to dull, and I realized that I still had so much life left to live. Despite the loss, my health was stable, and in a way, that was a reminder that I had a responsibility to myself, to live well, to embrace whatever time I had left. When it came to remarriage, I never considered it right away. In the beginning, I couldn't fathom the idea of being with anyone else. I had just lost the love of my life, and the thought of another partner seemed absurd. I had reached an age where I was content with what I had. I had a pension, I was living comfortably, and I didn't need a partner to fill the space beside me. Over the years, I had watched so many men look for new wives, not out of love, but because they wanted someone to cook, clean, or play the role of a stepmother for their children. It felt like such an unworthy transactional way of life, empty, devoid of true affection. The idea of becoming someone's housekeeper or a mother figure to children who weren't mine didn't appeal to me in the slightest. I had already lived a full life, and now, I was determined to make the most of my time alone. I wanted peace, not complications. When my son and daughter-in-law got married, they settled not too far from me, but I didn't feel the need to move in with them. I was still fiercely independent, unwilling to give up the freedom I had fought so hard to regain after my husband's passing. I would visit them occasionally, helping with the housework or looking after my grandchildren when they needed me. But I didn't rely on them for companionship. I learned how to fill my days with things that brought me joy. I spent afternoons at the park, dancing under the sun, taking long walks by myself, or meeting friends for tea. The world was still full of possibilities, and I made sure to embrace each one. The days flew by, but they were no longer clouded by loneliness or despair. I had my own money and savings, enough to live without fear of financial instability. I had learned to savor my independence, to live comfortably in my own space, and to be content with the life I had built. As I reflect on these years of solitude and self-discovery, I realize that I don't need anyone to complete me. I have everything I need within myself. And if I ever consider remarrying, I know exactly what I would require: honesty, respect, and a love that's truly mutual, not one born from necessity, but from genuine affection. For now, I am at peace. Some of my friends are married, yet their lives don't seem to bring them the happiness that mine does. They often look at me with envy, imagining that my freedom, being able to go wherever I please without being tied down, is the ideal way to live as we age. I do feel truly fortunate to have children who are loving and dutiful, children who allow me the peace of mind that comes with knowing they are secure, and that I don't need to worry too much about them. I believe that as long as I live my life happily and without regrets, my children will find peace as well. But, despite this gratitude, there came a point when I realized that living alone wasn't as fulfilling as I had once thought. The quietness of my home, once a symbol of freedom, began to feel increasingly hollow. Every time I walked through the door, I was greeted not with warmth or laughter but with a profound emptiness. The solitude that I once cherished became a heavy weight, one that pressed down on my heart every time I returned to an empty house. It was during this period of quiet reflection that I began to entertain the idea of moving in with my son, hoping that I could spend my later years surrounded by the warmth of family. I imagined that living with him would bring comfort and perhaps even the sense of belonging I longed for. But just as I had made up my mind, life threw an unexpected curveball. My son's mother-in-law had decided to move in with them, and suddenly, the space I had thought would be mine was no longer available. At that moment, I realized that I couldn't place the burden of my presence on my son's already strained household. I didn't want to add to their stress, to their already heavy load. So, with a heavy heart, I decided to remain in my own home, though it felt like a choice made out of necessity rather than desire. Not long after, a close friend, noticing my struggle, suggested that I hire a caregiver to help with daily tasks and provide some companionship. Though I had extra funds and no clear idea of how to use them, I found myself considering her suggestion. The idea of a caregiver appealed to me, someone to assist with the mundane tasks of life, but more importantly, someone who could sit with me, talk with me, and help alleviate the loneliness that had started to feel unbearable. I hired a caregiver, hoping that this would bring me the companionship and care I had been longing for. But, as it turned out, it wasn't the answer I had hoped for. The caregiver was inattentive, neglectful, and showed little regard for my needs. What angered me most, though, was the fact that she would take my things without a second thought, never acknowledging it when I confronted her. The trust one had placed in her evaporated, and I soon realized that this arrangement wasn't working. I made the difficult decision to let her go, feeling a mix of disappointment and frustration. As I shared my frustrations with my friends and family, one of my closest friends offered a solution that took me by surprise. "If you truly want to find a life partner," she said, "it's not as difficult as you think. Just set clear standards for yourself and find someone who meets your criteria. Happiness is within reach." Her words resonated with me, and I decided to follow her advice. I began to consider the possibility of finding a companion, but I knew I wouldn't settle for just anyone. I set my standards and my expectations for what a relationship should be. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. I wanted someone genuine, someone who understood the importance of trust, respect, and sincerity. I thought carefully about the qualities I valued most in a partner and set 4 non-negotiable conditions. To my surprise, after sharing these conditions, no one was willing to continue contacting me. I didn't think my requirements were too much to ask. After all, they seemed to me to be reasonable and fair. Here are the 4 conditions I set for myself, hoping to find a relationship that was meaningful, honest, and fulfilling. Condition 1. Honesty and good character. For me, the foundation of any relationship is built on unwavering honesty and an unshakable sense of integrity. If he wants to be part of my life, there is no room for deceit or hidden truths. He must be transparent with me, especially about where he is and who he's with. Every time he leaves, I need to know his schedule. It's not about controlling him, but about feeling secure and valued. When I don't know where he is, a deep, unsettling worry takes root inside me, and I can't shake it off. I need to know that he is committed to our bond and that he respects me enough to keep me informed. If he doesn't share these details, it sends a painful message to my heart. I'm being disrespected, left in the dark, and abandoned emotionally. It's a feeling of loneliness, as if I don't truly matter. I cannot live in that uncertainty. It eats away at my peace of mind. What's more, I cannot bear the thought of him being intimate with someone of the opposite gender without my knowledge or consent. That would tear me apart inside, as it feels like a betrayal of everything we are trying to build together. The mere idea that I could be so disregarded makes me feel as though I am nothing more than an outsider in my relationship. It would make me feel as though I am the invisible, unwanted third party, and the devastation that brings is something I cannot tolerate. If he truly wants to share his life with me, he must meet this one crucial condition: honesty, loyalty, and respect for the emotional bond we share. Without that, there is no foundation strong enough for us to stand on, and I will not settle for less. Condition 2. Expenses must be equally shared. In the delicate fabric of a remarriage, where two individuals come together with their histories, experiences, and emotional baggage, financial fairness becomes not just a practical necessity, but an essential foundation for mutual respect and trust. Even though we may call ourselves husband and wife, I believe the financial dynamics in a second marriage must be handled with even more care and thoughtfulness than in a first marriage. The idea of splitting expenses down the middle, with each person contributing their fair share, is not just a financial decision, it is a deeply emotional one. It represents a commitment to treating each other as equals, acknowledging each partner's individuality and autonomy, and ensuring that both feel secure and valued within the relationship. This one-to-one system, where each partner is responsible for their share of expenses, is not about lacking trust or questioning the other person's intentions. Quite the opposite. It is about creating an environment where both partners feel safe and respected, where neither feels burdened by financial dependency or at risk of being manipulated emotionally or financially. For me, the peace of mind that comes from knowing that we are both equally invested, both in terms of our hearts and our resources, is immeasurable. It isn't just about money. It's about the quiet comfort that comes from the understanding that neither person is carrying the entire weight of the relationship on their shoulders. We stand side by side, as true equals, both responsible for the future we are building together. This arrangement also prevents the subtle, yet insidious erosion of trust that can arise in second marriages. One of the greatest fears in remarriage is that the union might be driven by convenience or, even worse, financial gain. I've seen it happen. Relationships where money becomes the primary motivation, overshadowing genuine affection, shared values, and emotional connection. And it's heartbreaking. That is a scenario I am determined to avoid. By ensuring that both partners are contributing equally to the household, we can remove the fear of financial manipulation or exploitation. We're not bound together by the need for one person to support the other. Instead, we are united by our love, our shared goals, and the commitment to creating a fair and balanced life together. More and more remarried couples are embracing this philosophy, where financial equality isn't seen as a sign of distrust, but rather as a sign of emotional maturity and mutual respect. This shift in thinking is liberating, because it allows both partners to feel empowered and independent, while still being deeply connected in their relationship. It ensures that no one partner ever feels like they're being taken advantage of or carrying the burden of the relationship alone. In a marriage, trust is paramount, and this financial approach strengthens that trust, as it removes any potential anxieties about hidden motives or unspoken resentment. I've thought long and hard about this. The more I reflect on it, the more I realize that a shared expense system isn't just a logical choice. It's a profound statement about equality, respect, and emotional security. In the end, it's about much more than just splitting bills. It's about protecting the integrity of the relationship. It's about ensuring that love isn't tainted by financial concerns and that both partners feel safe, secure, and deeply valued. We can build a life together, not on the shaky foundation of financial dependence or one person's sacrifices being quietly overlooked, but on a strong, mutual commitment to fairness. That way, we can continue to love each other freely, without the burden of hidden expectations or unspoken fears. In a second marriage, we have the opportunity to approach life and love with wisdom and a clear understanding of what truly matters: love, respect, and fairness. And for me, there is no better way to honor that than by ensuring that financial matters are handled with the same level of care and respect that we show each other emotionally. Condition 3. Must have a pension of at least 6 million VND. When I think about the future, especially the years ahead as I grow older, one thing stands out above all: the importance of having a solid financial foundation. To me, a pension is not just an amount of money. It is the bedrock of a life free from the anxiety and stress that can come with aging. A pension is a promise to oneself that, no matter what happens, there will be security, stability, and independence. It is a measure of self-respect, and for that reason, it holds a place of utmost importance in my life. Many people might dismiss the idea of a pension as something insignificant or secondary, perhaps even suggesting that a smaller amount would suffice. But I cannot help but feel a deep sense of urgency about it. For me, a pension that falls below 6 million VND a month simply isn't enough to ensure a peaceful, comfortable life. It's not about living in luxury or excess. It's about the fundamental right to live without the constant worry of how to pay for everyday needs, how to cover healthcare, or how to afford the little joys of life that make aging bearable. Some might think this requirement is driven by practicality, and they'd be right. But it's more than that. It's a matter of preserving one's dignity as we enter our later years. The weight of financial instability is not something I want to carry alone. The reality is, when we get older, our energy decreases, and our needs change. We can no longer afford to be careless or naive about money. Without a pension that reaches at least 6 million VND, we are left vulnerable, not only to the cold grip of financial hardship but also to the emotional toll it takes on one's peace of mind. To me, that is a deeply uncomfortable and unsettling thought. I've lived long enough to understand that, when you're in your later years, the financial burden shouldn't fall on one person, especially not on the one who has already devoted a lifetime to building a stable future. I don't want to enter any relationship where I am expected to be the sole provider, the one who bears the weight of all responsibilities. I want an independent partner, someone who has already taken the necessary steps to ensure that their financial future is secure. A pension of 6 million VND or more is not just a number. It's a symbol of independence, self-sufficiency, and foresight. It is a reflection of someone who has planned for the future, someone who understands the importance of maintaining their financial health, and who respects themselves enough to ensure that they won't become a burden to someone else in their later years. I am not asking for excessive wealth. I am not looking for a life of luxury. But I do believe that we are entitled to live out our later years without fear, without constantly scrambling to make ends meet. A stable pension allows for that peace. It allows for moments of quiet enjoyment, for days free of stress, for the opportunity to travel, explore, or simply spend time with loved ones without the dark cloud of financial worry hanging overhead. It also allows us to live with the kind of dignity that everyone deserves as they grow older. Without this level of financial security, I can't help but feel that life together would always be tinged with a sense of unease, with one person always giving while the other takes. It's not just about money, it's about emotional equilibrium. It's about knowing that both partners are pulling their weight and that both are contributing to a shared future without one feeling weighed down by the other's struggles. Ultimately, the value of a pension of 6 million VND is about more than just the amount of money. It's about the peace of mind it brings, the security it promises, and the ability to face the future without fear or anxiety. It is a way of protecting the emotional well-being of both individuals, ensuring that neither partner feels alone or overwhelmed as they age. And for all of these reasons, I can't imagine being with someone who hasn't already taken that step towards securing their future. After all, if we cannot face the future together with mutual respect and independence, how could we ever hope to enjoy it? How could we build a life of happiness, peace, and love if one of us is left carrying the weight of financial uncertainty? To me, this condition is not negotiable. It is the foundation for a relationship that is built to last, one that is grounded in security, mutual respect, and the freedom to live fully, even as we grow older. Condition 4. Must have at least 100 million VND in dowry. When I lay down the condition that I require a dowry of at least 100 million VND, I am fully aware that many will look at me with judgment, as though I were a woman blinded by materialism or an unreasonable thirst for wealth. There will be those who scoff, calling me greedy, perhaps even selfish, and they will tell me that at my age, such demands are not only unwarranted but downright absurd. After all, isn't it enough that I've lived a full life, that I've seen the world and weathered countless storms? Why must I ask for money at this stage in my life? But, you see, this is not about greed. It's about something much more fundamental, something much deeper than the desire for wealth. This is about security. You see, at this point in my life, after everything I've experienced, the joys, the sorrows, the moments of triumph, and the losses, there's one thing that I've come to understand with an unwavering certainty. Security is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Security is what allows me to sleep at night without worrying about what might happen tomorrow, without the dread that a sudden illness or unforeseen circumstance could strip me of everything I've worked for, leaving me exposed and vulnerable. Security is the cushion I need to soften the inevitable blows life delivers. Without it, I feel as though I'm walking a tightrope with no safety net beneath me. This dowry, this seemingly controversial sum, represents more than just money. It's a symbol, a profound testament to the sincerity and commitment I am asking from a potential partner. I need to know that, should life throw a curveball, I will not be left to face it alone, without the resources or the emotional backing to navigate it. It's like insurance. A kind of quiet assurance that this person I am choosing to be with isn't just promising to be by my side in the good times, but also willing to stand by me in the hard times, to share the burdens that inevitably come with age. To me, the dowry is not about riches or extravagance. It's about feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling that this man, if he truly loves me, understands that I need to be protected in ways that go beyond mere words or affection. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. But despite what I believe to be a perfectly reasonable request, every time I bring it up during a date, I watch as the man across from me grows uncomfortable, his expression shifting from polite interest to visible discomfort. And then, without fail, they dismiss me. They walk away. They reject me as though I am asking for something outrageous. They see me as too demanding and too difficult to please. The sting of their rejection is not just the loss of another date, but the sharp reminder that my needs, my need for stability, for security, are something that few seem willing to accept, much less understand. With every failed attempt, I begin to question. Is it too much to ask for someone to truly invest in me, to want to take care of me? Am I asking for the impossible? After a series of failed relationships, I've come to a bitter realization. Finding true love and real happiness at this age is a monumental challenge. I've encountered so many men who are more interested in convenience than commitment, who view relationships as temporary engagements rather than lifelong partnerships. The sincerity I long for seems to be increasingly rare, like a diamond in the rough. I now see that love, when it comes to me at this stage in life, cannot be rushed and cannot be forced. It must come naturally, or not at all. I cannot mold someone into the partner I need. If it happens, it happens, but I cannot lower my standards, for I know that to do so would be to sacrifice my peace of mind, my security, and my happiness. So, what do you think about this woman's 4 conditions? The first 3 might seem reasonable to some, perhaps even necessary. After all, we all want respect, we want honesty, and we want a partner who is emotionally mature enough to engage in a meaningful relationship. But it's the 4th condition, the dowry, that tends to raise eyebrows. The idea of asking for such a significant sum at this age can feel, to many, like a burden too heavy to bear, an expectation that feels out of place in a society that tends to view older individuals as more settled and less financially ambitious. The thought of being pressured to part with such a large amount of money can make any man, no matter how well off, feel uneasy, resentful, or even humiliated. They may feel like they're being asked to prove their love in a way that doesn't feel genuine or natural to them. And this, my dear audience, is the reason why finding a life partner in old age is not easy. The stakes are high, higher than they've ever been before. The emotional costs are immense, and the possibility of heartbreak becomes more tangible and more painful with each passing year. Every decision feels weightier, and every rejection stings deeper. It's not just about finding someone to share your days with. It's about finding someone who will honor your needs, your desires, and your fears, someone who will not dismiss you for asking for what you need to feel safe and loved. In this quest for a second chance at happiness, older women and men alike must confront the reality that the stakes are not the same as they were in their youth. We all come with our own set of criteria, our expectations, and our hopes for the future. But one thing that has surprised me, something I never would have predicted, is how these expectations are shifting, particularly among older men. It seems that in their search for a life partner, many older men have begun to prioritize different qualities than they did in their youth. In the past, men were often attracted to women who were slim, youthful, and conventionally beautiful, those who met society's standards of physical perfection. Overweight women were often disregarded, dismissed, and even looked down upon as less desirable and less worthy of attention. But something has changed, and it's a change that is both fascinating and, in some ways, comforting. Today, many older men find themselves more drawn to women with fuller figures, women who are more robust and more substantial in their presence. The idea that a woman's body mass could be a sign of good fortune, or even luck, in a family, is becoming increasingly common. This belief, strange as it may sound to some, is gaining ground. It is no longer unusual to hear that a family's good fortune is tied to whether the wife is chubby, whether she has some extra weight or some fullness to her figure. Why is this? Why has this shift occurred? Could it be that, as people grow older, they become less fixated on the superficial aspects of attraction and more attuned to deeper qualities, such as warmth, stability, and emotional depth? Could it be that in their later years, men are beginning to value a woman's presence, her nurturing energy, and her strength, more than her physical appearance? To answer these questions, let's hear the insights from 3 older men who have experienced this shift in their own romantic lives. They will reveal the truth behind the surprising preference and explain why they now see beauty and value in women who don't fit the traditional mold of slender youth. First, Mr. Lamb, 65 years old. At 65, the weight of years has a way of transforming one's perspective on life, love, and what truly matters. Looking back, I realized that the things I once thought were most important, youth, appearance, material wealth, have all faded into the background, leaving only the deeper truths of human connection, health, and emotional security. It is these things that have become my guiding principles as I approach the second chapter of my life. When it comes to choosing a new partner, I now understand with absolute clarity that a woman with a fuller, more robust figure is the type of companion I need to find. For me, plump women represent stability, strength, and the comforting assurance that they are capable of enduring the struggles life can throw at us. In my eyes, a woman with a little extra weight is more than just physically solid. She embodies resilience. Over the years, I've seen the toll that poor health and fragility can take on both the body and the soul. My first wife, God rest her soul, was a gentle soul with a delicate frame. She was tiny, almost fragile-looking, her body a constant reflection of vulnerability. I loved her deeply, there was no question about that, but her frailty was a source of endless anxiety for me. She was always battling something, whether it was the flu, a cold, or an injury that took longer to heal than it should have. It was as if her body was a fragile vase, constantly at risk of shattering. I remember so many nights when the weather would shift when the air grew colder or the winds picked up, and I'd feel a tightness in my chest, a gnawing worry that she might get sick again. It didn't take much for her to fall ill. She was just too thin, too weak. Every time she caught a cold, it would spiral into something worse. And because of her frailness, she couldn't do the things I couldn't help carry the load when life demanded it. Household chores, heavy work, even simple things like going for walks, she would tire easily, her body unable to keep up. I'd often find myself doing things for her, not out of obligation, but because I knew she simply couldn't do them for herself. There was a helplessness in me as I watched her struggle, and even more so as I tried to comfort her. Then, the unthinkable happened. At just 50 years old, after a long battle with her illness, my dear wife passed away. The loss was devastating, a wound that left me hollow. I remember the days following her death as a blur of grief and disbelief. I had never imagined a life without her. I hadn't been prepared for the silence that would fill the house or the emptiness that now lay in the bed where she once slept. I had spent decades caring for her, doing everything I could to protect her, and yet I was powerless when it came to the inevitable. Her passing made me confront my mortality in a way I had never done before. It made me question what mattered, what I wanted in the years that remained. After a period of mourning, I realized that I couldn't remain alone forever. I didn't want to be a solitary man for the rest of my days. Life, after all, is meant to be shared. And so, after careful thought and soul-searching, I decided it was time to try again, to seek out a new partner. But this time, I knew I would make different choices. I had learned the hard way that health and emotional stability were far more important than anything superficial. This time, I vowed to find a woman whose body would not betray her, whose health would offer both of us the strength we needed to face the challenges ahead. It was then that I met her, a woman who, though she carried a bit more weight, exuded a sense of inner strength and vitality that I admired. She weighed about 75 kilograms, a far cry from the tiny figure of my late wife, and at first glance, some might have considered her chubby. But to me, she was a vision of stability. Her health was strong. She had an energy about her that felt grounded, not fragile. Her presence alone was a comfort, a reassurance that I wasn't alone in facing life's burdens. Since marrying her, I have felt a profound shift in my life. I no longer carry the constant weight of worry about her health, as I did with my first wife. No more sleepless nights wondering if she'll catch a cold or strain her back. She is healthy, vibrant, and capable of standing beside me through life's ups and downs. But it's not just her physical strength that has brought peace into my life. Since our marriage, I've felt something more, a sense of prosperity and joy that I hadn't realized I was missing. Our home, once filled with the silence of grief, is now alive with laughter and warmth. There is an undeniable joy in our everyday lives. Simple moments, like enjoying a cup of tea in the morning, sharing a meal, or even just sitting in quiet companionship, have taken on a new meaning. I no longer feel the weight of loneliness pressing on me. Her presence has transformed not just my emotional state, but our entire home, our entire life. Our relationship has brought a kind of prosperity that goes beyond money or material possessions. It's a richness of the heart, an abundance of love and care. I feel younger, more at peace, more alive than I have in years. She has breathed new life into me, showing me that love can still be beautiful and fulfilling, even in the later stages of life. While there may have been a time when I thought physical beauty or youthful appearance was what mattered most, I've come to realize that true beauty lies in health, in strength, in the quiet comfort of knowing that you have someone who will stand by your side, who will endure life's trials with you, and who will share in the joy of every moment. As I look at her now, I realize that she is more than just a companion. She is a source of strength, a partner in every sense of the word. Together, we face the future with a sense of security and peace that I had long given up hope of finding. I never imagined that, at 65, I would feel this kind of joy again, this kind of happiness. But here I am, and I am grateful. Grateful for the love that has found me, for the sense of security that now surrounds me, and for the woman who has filled my life with warmth and stability. Second, Mr. Lai, 68 years old. I've learned, through both pain and reflection, that true strength and the essence of youth don't always lie in the most delicate or slender forms. My first wife, may she rest in peace, was a woman who held an unwavering devotion to maintaining a particular image of herself. She was beautiful in her way, but her beauty was marred by a relentless obsession with staying slim. She took pride in her tiny frame, rarely weighing more than 40 kilograms, and she cherished this smallness almost as if it were her most valuable asset. She was incredibly particular about what she ate, sometimes skipping meals altogether or only nibbling on an apple or a small bowl of rice. I remember the evenings, watching her struggle to force herself to eat, as though the act of nourishing herself was something she felt guilty for. I would tell her, "Please, eat more. You need the strength." But she would simply smile and brush my concern aside. "I'm fine," she would say, but her thinness was a silent declaration of something deeper, a need to hold on to what she perceived as the pinnacle of beauty. I never fully understood it, but I respected her choices. It was her body, after all. But as the years passed, I began to watch with a heavy heart as her health deteriorated in ways I couldn't stop. The frailty she so proudly cultivated became the very thing that betrayed her. Her skin became thin, pale, almost translucent at times. Her body, deprived of the nourishment it needed, weakened and faltered. She had always been so proud of her slenderness, but that pride came at a price. She was constantly tired, frail, and sick, and no matter how much I encouraged her to take better care of herself, nourish her body, and allow herself the indulgence of a full meal, she remained determined to stay small, to stay perfect. It wasn't until she was gone, far too soon, that I realized the tragic mistake we both had made. This obsession with thinness, with appearance, came at the cost of her health. She passed away not long after, and I was left alone, heartbroken, and filled with regret. I often think back and wonder how different things might have been if we had focused more on wellness than on appearance. But it was too late. After her passing, I spent many years grieving. I buried myself in memories, and for a while, I didn't think about finding someone new. But as time wore on, I found myself yearning for companionship, for someone to share the quiet days, the unspoken moments of life. I realized that I needed a partner who could not only share in the joys of life but also support me emotionally and physically as I grew older. I didn't want to make the same mistake again. This time, I was determined to be more mindful and more intentional about the kind of woman I would choose. I set clear criteria for my new partner. She needed to be at least 60 kilograms. It wasn't about superficial standards or a desire for beauty in the traditional sense. It was about health, real, tangible health. I had learned, in a way I never wanted to, that being too thin wasn't just a physical appearance issue, it had deep consequences. Thinness, when taken to extremes, could rob a person of the vitality that life so desperately requires. As I met new women and got to know them, I realized just how much of a difference a little extra weight could make. Plump women, I found, not only seemed healthier, but they also exuded a certain vitality and energy that thin women often lacked. It wasn't just about the weight, It was about the life force that accompanied it. Full-figured women had smoother, more vibrant skin that seemed to glow with life. Their faces, rather than looking hollow or worn, carried an ageless quality. They seemed to age more gracefully, and even in their older years, there was a youthful spark in their eyes. On the other hand, thin women, as they grew older, often showed the first signs of aging earlier. Their skin would wrinkle faster, their faces would look tired, and their bodies seemed to lose the strength they once had. Now, I live with my new partner, a woman who is just the right weight and, more importantly, a woman who has brought light and joy back into my life. She weighs about 60 kilograms, and I can tell you, every extra pound on her is a source of vitality. She is full of energy, radiates warmth, and brings a sense of stability and happiness that I had longed for after my first wife's passing. Her presence fills the house with a sense of calm and positivity. She doesn't just take care of herself, she takes care of our relationship, our home, and me. There is something incredibly comforting about being with someone who understands the importance of health, not just in appearance but in spirit and soul. Her full figure is a testament to her strength, her vitality, and her inner peace. I've come to see that true beauty lies in strength, resilience, and the capacity to enjoy life fully, not in a fragile, fleeting version of it. With her, I feel like I found a partner who complements me, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually. I look at her every day and am reminded of the lessons I've learned, the value of health over superficial beauty, and the importance of living with vitality and joy. At my age, I know that life is precious, and I've finally found someone who makes me feel alive again, someone who is strong enough to face the challenges of life with me. I can honestly say that I am happy again, and I owe so much of that to the simple but profound truth that health, strength, and a joyful heart are what matter most. Third, Mr. Ha, 65 years old. I've always had this quiet, unwavering belief that women with a fuller figure bring something truly special into a home, something that goes beyond just physical health. They seem to possess a kind of natural strength, a presence that fills the room with warmth and security. I've never had much of an attraction to women who are too thin. There's something about their fragility that unsettles me, as though they are constantly on the verge of breaking or disappearing, and I feel like I have to tiptoe around them, afraid that one wrong move, one misplaced touch, might hurt them. It's not about their looks. It's about the feeling of fragility that comes with being so slight. It's an uneasiness I can't shake. I want to feel that the person by my side is strong enough to handle the rough edges of life, strong enough to withstand whatever challenges may come our way, and to know that, should life throw us a curveball, we'll be able to navigate it together. So, when I met my wife, I knew she was the one. She's not just a woman who carries herself with confidence. She's the kind of woman whose very presence reassures me. Weighing around 65 kilograms, she has the kind of solid, reassuring figure that makes me feel safe, both physically and emotionally. And it's not just about the numbers on a scale. It's the way she moves through life with a sense of steadiness that I admire so deeply. She's not just healthy, she's a force of nature in her quiet way. She's the anchor in our little world, keeping us grounded, stable, and united. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Since we've married, I've watched her transform every day into an act of kindness and love. She takes such wonderful care of me, making sure I have everything I need, often before I even have to ask. She's not just a partner in the traditional sense. She's my caretaker, my confidant, my pillar. She cooks with an expertise that I find both comforting and remarkable. Her meals aren't just food, they're nourishing acts of love, infused with the care she takes in preparing them. Every dish she serves has a story, a little piece of herself woven into it. She never rushes. She's always thoughtful, always making sure that I'm satisfied and happy, and that our home is filled with the aroma of her cooking, a reminder of the warmth she brings into our lives. But what moves me is how she fills the spaces between the moments. It's the little things, the gentle way she touches my hand when we sit together, the way she listens intently when I speak, the way she seems to know what I need even before I do. It's her kindness and her attention to detail that make me feel seen and valued. I don't just feel loved. I feel cared for in the deepest, most meaningful way possible. And when I look at her, I realize that the weight she carries isn't just physical. It's the weight of love, of responsibility, of devotion. She carries the heart of our home in a way that feels effortless to her but means everything to me. I used to think that thinness was the ideal, that the world valued the delicate, the fragile. But now I see that true beauty lies in strength. Strength not only of the body but of the spirit. Fuller women, who carry themselves with confidence and health, are the ones who seem to bring fortune and joy into a household. It's not just about longevity or vitality, it's about the emotional richness they provide. She's the one who has made my life feel fuller and more complete. Thanks to her, I've come to understand what true comfort is. It's the kind of peace that comes with knowing that you're not just surviving, but thriving. I feel more comfortable in my skin, and more at ease with the world because she's by my side. Every day, I wake up and I am grateful. Grateful for the warmth she brings, for the love she pours into our family, found are the life she has helped build. As we move forward, I know that I am the luckiest man alive to have found a woman who not only fills my heart with happiness but also fills our home with such rich, vibrant energy. Together, we are stronger, healthier, and happier. And I truly believe that women with a fuller figure, like my wife, are not only a symbol of good fortune, they are the very embodiment of it. So, what have we learned today? Whether it's Mr. Ha's belief in the strength and warmth that comes with a fuller figure or the deep emotional connections we form through care, respect, and appreciation, the message is clear. True beauty and strength come from within, and it's the love, warmth, and thoughtfulness we show each other that truly enrich our lives. I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned today that you'll bring into your own life or relationships? Is it the power of nurturing care, the strength in embracing a partner's true self, or perhaps something else that resonated with you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a conversation. If you liked this video, please take a moment to leave your comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay connected and continue growing with us. Your support means the world, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.